You're listening to Trainual's SMB Consulting Show with Bradford Jones.
Hey everyone, it's Bradford. I'm the Implementation Experience Manager here at Trainual. Excited to have you back for another episode in our series here, talking to our certified consultants. I'm here with Alex Devereux from the Devereaux Group. We are so excited to have him here and talk about what's going on. Alex, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bradford. I really appreciate having the opportunity to chat with you.
Yeah,
and also,
awesome.
I'm happy I'm part of the Trainual family, so it's a good thing. Thank you.
It's awesome. We're happy to have you. So obviously we're all remote right now, and it's March 31st. And the reason I bring that up is because everything changes by the day right now, March 31st, 2020.
Right.
If we had said we were in March, if that was March 7th, this would be a completely different country, right? Everything's going on. So we're remote. Our Trainual team is remote. You've got a beautiful background there with you. I wish that I were sitting in Sedona right now where that picture was taken.
Absolutely. It's a great spot. And of course, I mentioned to you earlier that, this is off golf course that I played up in Sedona and just, had to take the shot. And then when I had the opportunity to add it to Zoom, I said, why not? And, what's interesting is that, when people see this, especially if they're from back east and whatever, they're going, wow, where'd you get that shot? Or what's the background? It's like, you know what? Welcome to Arizona.
Yeah,
we have a lot. We have some greenery here besides just desert and buildings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm based here in Tennessee, so it's a lot more foliage and green and stuff.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time in Scottsdale at the Trainual offices and get to see that style thing. So, so we're just going to jump in here. We're just talking what's going on with how business has changed with this global pandemic, right? So, as it right now, most of the country's under a stay-at-home order or an advisement, and so there's some big things that are happening with businesses, especially our Trainual customers and things like that. So, what are you seeing from your network and your clients at this time with how this is evolving for business?
Well, what I see is, this is a very challenging time period for everyone. I mean, we've had different scenarios that put us on duty, if you will, on notice, if you will. And so, like, for example, we had 9/11, we had, some challenges in the mid 2000s, 2008, 2011, et cetera, with the mortgage, problem, scandal, the bubble. And so we've got a new challenge, and we have what I consider an invisible assassin. We don't quite know how to combat this, and we're trying desperately to figure things out and helping people connect with something they can't see. That's not very tangible is a big challenge, and getting that seriousness that. So the social distancing is something that people have been slow here in the United States. Have been slow to respond to, and I think that's the biggest challenge. Slowly but surely, they're starting to get that, germs are things or viruses are things you can't see, and you have to assume they exist, and you need to take the precautions that are necessary. And so that being said, we have a lot of businesses here in our area that have been, of course, closed their doors, as required by the government, and of course they've gone remote, which is good. And now the question is, how do you increase your effectiveness? And so that's where, I've been fortunate enough to, in my background, not only in consulting and with business, but also have an education background or as an educator. And of course, I'm familiar with e-learning systems, so with understanding e-learning system, understanding learning management systems, et cetera, and understanding remote systems in general as relates to technical transference of data, et cetera, everyone's starting to tech up, if you will, tech up from a remote standpoint, tech up from a connectivity standpoint in terms of communicating. And what we've seen and what I've noticed, and of course, what I've also engaged with, is that people that are more willing to connect online, from a business standpoint. And even if they have similar businesses, they're willing to share contacts, they're willing to share engagement, they're willing to do things differently than they would have done if they were face to face, which I think is very interesting. But sometimes we become very insulated when we become siloed, when we are face to face, because we feel like we need to protect our territory, et cetera. But now, with us having to be remote and being restrained, with not being able to physically engage, we have to be more open. We have to be more adaptable. We have to be more receptive to looking at things differently, new ideas, new concepts, new ways of connecting, because the bills are still, they're still sending notices for bills. We're still being required to pay, whatever we need to pay. And of course, there's some support that's coming from the SBA, et cetera, the government providing, additional support to help those that are losing business. But that's not enough. We still have to pay them back. We still have to, keep business moving. So we're starting to move into a new paradigm, as I see it, and from this remoteness, that's requiring us to rethink the way that we were thinking about business before. Before, we had more of a zero-sum type of mindset in terms of saying, you want to win and some want to win more than others. Now we're seeing a balancing of that where, this is give and take in this facilitated exchange. So that's what I'm seeing.
So one of the amazing things I heard you just say right there was increasing your effectiveness. And so we had a meeting at Trainual yesterday, and people were talking about they don't have their commute times anymore, and they're actually using that to work. And so right. They allotted what used to be 9 or 10 hours, including a commute. Now they're using 9 hours instead of just 7 hours working. And so it's pretty right. amazing that the tools, although some of us are working at home with kids and family members that aren't normally home and things like that. Right. I think what you said about increasing effectiveness, if you just made that a goal, wow. I mean, just every day try to increase your effectiveness. That would be a pretty good goal to go for. To that point, what would you say to business owners in this time about seeing this as an opportunity going forward? This is a tough time in the country, but do you think there's some opportunities for business owners to see what's going on as an opportunity?
Yes, I see some interesting challenges. I think there's one side that yearns for business to be the way it was, and hoping that it would come back the way it was. And what I'm seeing is that, and I think what's important for especially for small business people is that they have to see things. They have to see this new thing, this new paradigm that we're shifting into now, and figure out how to be more adaptable that way, as opposed to trying to recover and reintroduce what has already been disrupted. So it's, in other words, prepare for disruption and leverage the disruption, and move forward with it. And so with that means that this is an opportunity to do some planning, strategic planning as it relates to rethinking your process, to rethinking the way in which you engage. What happens if your sales force or your force in general, your employee, force in general, wants to continue to be remote?
What
happens?
A good question. We've proved it can work now, right?
Yeah, so you need to pivot. This is an opportunity to pivot, not try to reconstruct. I mean, not try to revert back to where you were before, but how do you think about how you move forward? And that's what we do. We help companies rethink the way they participate in the process without changing the integrity of their current system, which I think is very important. What I see is also very beneficial from a Trainual standpoint is Trainual allow you to introduce those modified procedures and processes that will enable you to support moving forward in a hybrid type of place. And I think it's so important to think that way. And so what I see again, the SMB family, if you will, because we're all like big family, all these small businesses. You start talking to people and you realize, hey, you know what? I spent a time, for example, I was driving around before, I was driving outside of my area, right, for where I lived. And one day I said to myself, you should just simply eat in restaurants that are like right down the street from you, as opposed to traveling 5 miles away just to eat at a restaurant. You should try eating around the neighborhood. And what I did, and what I discovered is that I found there were good restaurants right next door to me, 2 minutes away, 5 minutes away. So I say to my fellow, SBAers, it's the SMBers, right? SBAers, but yeah, talk about SMB. SBA, they have the funding that's to support, the small businesses. So I think everybody should take a look at those funds, and if they can qualify, apply for those funds. That's the first thing. But think about it as it relates to what I'm talking about here. They're going to require a plan from you. Mm-hmm. They're going to require you to articulate what your plan is and how you've been impacted by Covina and how you're going to move forward with it. So this is a great opportunity for you to plan and say, this is how we're going to adapt. If you need to retool, in other words, bring in new technology to kind of help support you moving forward, introducing efficiencies in your business, now's the time to justify, without being very disruptive, introducing these efficiencies, as well as increasing your effectiveness. So increasing effectiveness and efficiencies, looking at different tools you can do to increase your effectiveness. Trainual is a great tool to support you, whether you are face-to-face or you're remote. A great tool for people to stay connected, to continue to develop and improve and enhance the process. Our role as Trainual consultants is to help these small businesses pivot. Business is no longer as usual. And so let's not even think about that. The beauty of being a small business is that you can pivot faster. It's not like moving, like the large corporations, to kind of like this large, ocean liner that takes a few miles to make a turn. We just pivot. We're like speedboats. Act like speedboats. But with speedboats, be willing to plan, be willing to be adaptable, be willing to be flexible. And so Trainual provides you with this wonderful tool, allow you to be able to pivot and shift and move. And you know what? But the most important thing that I see here, Bradford, is so important, is that you need to have some fearlessness. You need to be courageous with this. You cannot, assume here and wait for the conditions to change. You need to be about the business now. And you need to push yourself beyond being constrained and thinking about, oh my gosh, I have limited resources and I'm not sure what I can do. And that's the panic that a lot of small businesses have, But you have to treat it like as if, you're stuck at home, you look in your cupboards and you realize you have the food that you never wanted to eat, but now you have to eat it. You know what I mean? You have to just really be creative and say, I see the cookbook in your background. It's like, so now what can I do with what's in the cupboard? So let's work on what's in the cupboard. And what we do with Trainual is that we give you a freaking cookbook. Sorry about that. You might have to bleep me out. But, a cookbook that allows you to rethink, repivot, move forward in the things that are important. And so my job, for example, with my clients is to help them rethink their situation, not reinvent the wheel, just make the wheel better. Maybe I can use some WD-40, and spray it on the wheels to make them move faster, reduce some of the dust, clean it up a little bit, reduce the resistance that's in my environment. That's what basically what we have the opportunity to do. We have to work with the tools we have in front of us and not try to look beyond and pine about things that aren't readily available to us right now.
I love it. My background's hospitality, and obviously I keep my eye on that industry. And one of the things that was a pivot you and I were talking about before we jumped on was that you can now sell alcohol to go in restaurants in Tennessee, which if they had proposed that in like a normal bill last month, it would probably be like voted on in 5 or 7 years, right?
Right.
Literally, they changed it overnight. And so, like, what if you're a company who said, okay, we'll meet next quarter on that, and then we'll try to ramp up our skills and production on that, and then whatever. And then your competitor, say you're a Mexican food restaurant, and the one next door is selling margaritas in the gallon, and you're going to tackle it next quarter. Like, right. What a waste of time, right? So to your point, you are the decision maker. You are the one who can make the decision and stay late that night to figure out what cups you're going to put it in.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Phenomenal.
Absolutely. From that. Hey, the biggest challenge, sorry for cutting you out, Bradford, because you got me excited here. The biggest problem I see with a lot of the folks out there, man, is that they're unwilling to make a decision. They're afraid, you know. And the upside about it is that if they extend themselves out to a consultant to just talk to them, you know, that fear could go away. It could go away because, you know, it may not be it's almost like doing your taxes. If you're doing your taxes on your own, you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to make a mistake because I don't want somebody to come by my house and say, guess what? You know, we want to do nothing. You know, it's not that intensive. It's not that big of a problem. You know, you just need to open yourself up and say, look, you know what? Being a responsible business person means paying attention to the right things at the right times for the right reasons. And the right reason is that we have a crisis in front of us. It's not going to go away tomorrow, and we need to face it. We need to be courageous. We need to be pragmatic about it, and we need to plan. And if we have a plan, we can get it done.
I'm ready to run through a wall right now. I want my own business to be able to go pivot on. So you've got me fired up. Hey, we want to make sure we're watching everybody's time. So Alex, why don't you tell us just a little bit about your company, how people can get in touch with you. That way they'll know really here pretty quickly.
Sure. Well, my business, you know, consulting, we handle leadership management, you know, issues, but we actually call it, you know, boots to the ground from the top to the bottom now. So top down, bottom up. You know, is how we approach things. We look at RevGen, or, you know, revenue generation process, the entire revenue generation process, and how people fit in that, how the processes work in that, and then, of course, how performance. You know, our expectations is that we expect to have a significant return on investment within 90 days. So we want to pay for ourselves when we work with our clients. And so in order to do that, we want to make sure we're clear about the things that are important. All the moving parts, we want them to move together. You know, we address we look at what to do, what to change, what the change do, and how to make those changes. And then we look at performance in terms of the back end of execution, being able to execute effectively. So that's what we do in a nutshell. How to reach us, you know, I can give my phone number, but I get so many robocalls. I prefer people to contact me by email and, of course, through the Trainual network. But an email, if they want to reach me, is adevereux at the Devereaux.com, which is ADEVEREUX, you know, at THEDEVEREUXGROUP.com. That's the best way to reach me. Be happy to, you know, chat with you, give you any insights I've had, because I've been consulting for a number of years. I've been an educator, so I'm always interested in you know, giving people an earful, or, you know, at least learning, right? You know, Bradford said, yeah, this guy can't shut this guy up. But Bradford, I just get excited about helping people improve themselves and put themselves in a better position. I mean, to me, that's what it's all about. You know, having done that with my students, having done that with my instructors, because, you know, I have to hire instructors, and having done that with other colleagues that work with clients, et cetera. At the end of the day, it's really about helping everybody move forward, because that's what we're doing. We're doing it from a human perspective. You know, helping humans move forward is what this is all about. And so we're just using Trainual as a way to help us do that more effectively and more efficiently.
Yeah, well, great. Well, we're so excited to have you as a part of the Trainual family, and we're looking forward to our customers being able to utilize you as a resource. And obviously, they can find you there on the Certified Consultants page on Trainual.com. And so, Alex, thank you so much for the time today. It was great to see you from sunny Sedona out there. So thanks for connecting. It was good that we could share this time with this great technology tool we have.
Right. Well, you know, thank you, Bradford. And, you know, as spoken by one of your natives, you know, thank you very much. You know, so.
Perfect. Yeah, here in the state of Tennessee, I'm more on the Dolly Parton side of Tennessee, not the Elvis side.
I can't mimic Dolly, but she's just wonderful. But I can appreciate what she brings down with Dollywood and everything else on that side of the country or the state. So, but thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Thanks.
Oh, you bet.
Thanks for listening to Trainual's SMB Consulting Show with Bradford Jones. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you'd like to learn more about Trainual and our certified consultants, head over to Trainual.com.